evening, everybody. Welcome to a conversation with Mr. Inspirer. I'm Aldana Jr., aka Mr. Inspirer.
What's up, Lane?
My guest tonight is another very powerful friend of mine who I admire. I admire and respect and respect so much. So much. So much. He's one of my biggest inspirations, and I couldn't be more proud of him than I am right now. And I'm really honored that he's in my life. Continue. As my friend and brother. And brother. And I'm really excited to have one. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and privilege to present to you my very good friend, ladies and
What's
gentlemen.
up?
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and privilege to present to you all my good friend, Hanif Donaldson. Hanif, it's nice to see you.
You too.
How is everything?
Good. How about yourself?
I'm just living life, man. I'm just glad that I can support you anywhere I can.
That's all you can do. Live life to the fullest.
Yes, definitely. How has the pandemic been treating you as a student athlete?
Things are rough. My whole basketball team's been quarantined 3 different times throughout the season, and so it's been really hard to like transition and get back into shape and stuff like that.
I couldn't agree more. And I also know you still play football. So how did that go for you?
Football was a lot easier. We didn't have any problems due to COVID. Football was pretty smooth, but we just had to follow rules, wear masks. We were okay.
How difficult was it for you playing the sport that you love without the fans being there to root you on?
That was difficult because Friday Night Lights fans are what makes a football game. Can turn the game around. They can get hype. I mean, fans can be crazy, and it's very different and something you have to get used to. Just not having the crowd there, and you kind of just having to find your own motivation and your own way to get momentum and stuff like that. Plus, you don't have the girls.
Well, that's true. I do agree with you on that. And I just love the fact that, you know, you're still out there doing what you have to do. And I admire and respect you for that.
Appreciate it.
Which sport do you like the best?
Football without a doubt.
How long have you been playing?
Since I was about in the third grade, second, third grade.
So I'm assuming most of your life. So can I say 16 years then?
Yes.
I just made the assumption on that.
Yeah.
What attracted you the most to the sport of football?
Um, That's a good question. Just kind of seeing people. I mean, I used to have really bad anger issues, and just seeing people hit each other and not get in trouble for it. I was
Hmm.
like, oh, that sport looks fun, and so I tried out, and it turned out I was really good at it. So I stuck with it.
How difficult is it for you being a student athlete? Because I know that you are in school for about, I would say, eight
It
hours a day,
yeah.
and then your school day starts before everybody else's.
Mhm.
So run me through that, and how did this pandemic change all of that?
Um. Well, I get up for school. You do that, and then right after school, you got practice, and I mean practices. I mean for this year basketball, we've had to change practices. Like there are practice times multiple different times due to everyone trying to get into the gym at one time. So that's been annoying, but other than that, it's been pretty smooth.
What is it about? I'm trying to think of another question. Okay. What advice do you have for future student athletes?
Grades come first, always. Keep your grades up.
I agree with you on that statement, my friend, because it's really true what you just said.
Yeah.
Grades really do come first because, and I'm going to explain why. I had a professor at St. Peter's University who was on the board of the HNCAA, which is associated with the March Madness. Am I saying? I hope I'm saying that correctly.
There you are.
And shout out to Lyra Austin who's watching this, and my other viewers that are watching this as well. And her responsibility, she was in charge of making sure that all of the student athletes attend their classes.
Mm,
And what you just said is really important
yeah.
because yes, you have earned the scholarships to play the sport that you
Mm,
love.
yeah.
But you have to remember you are a student first.
Yeah.
And you have to achieve a certain GPA in order to stay on that team. As
Mm,
another friend of mine who I interviewed too, he says it depends on the state. So
yeah.
here in New Jersey, it is a 2.5 in order to stay on the team.
Hmm.
So for your state, what's the GPA that you have to, at least the minimum GPA that you have to maintain?
I'm pretty sure it's around 2.5, 2.6.
So a C minus to a C plus average.
Yes.
That's very interesting. Interesting. Because I've also noticed that you do track and field as well. Shout
Hmm.
out to Melissa Kudiak and Brian Petty. What is your favorite event that you do for track and field?
Long jump for sure.
How is the transition preparing, practicing for one sport to the next for you?
Um, like basketball will help with football. It helps with lateral movement, quickness, jumping ability. So every sport that I play pretty much backs each other up. So one sport I play always helps me in another sport.
Absolutely, that's how you have to look at it.
Yep.
And I love how you said it. And every sport that you play helps you in another sport because you're still using the same strength and agilities
Yeah.
for everything, but you also have to discipline yourself.
Yeah.
Discipline yourself. And the one thing that I love about you, Hanif, if I could say it, when I first reached out to you, you are an inspiration to so many people,
Appreciate it.
including me as an SONJ athlete, because you've always motivated and inspired me to never give up. And from the bottom of my heart, I can never thank you enough for that.
I appreciate it.
For that. So, what was it like for you when I first reached out to you?
It was pretty interesting because I've never really had that happen. And so I looked on your page. I saw he was pretty interesting. Saw some pictures, and I was like, he looks like a really good person. And I was like, I would like definitely to get to know you more.
Do you consider yourself as an inspiration?
To some people, yes.
I think that's a really interesting comment you said that you do consider yourself an inspiration to some people because you do not know what these people are going through and how they look up look up to you.
Yeah.
But if you would have told, because you said you started playing football when you were in second to third grade,
Hmm.
so what would you have told your younger self? If you had the chance to talk to your younger self, what would you tell that younger version of yourself?
So always keep your head up, keep pushing no matter what anyone says. Keep your head straight, keep on the right path. School comes first, family comes first. Keep grinding, and longer and harder you grind, the easier it is for you to reach your dreams.
Speaking of family, how did your family support you in your decision for playing the sports that you do?
They're super supportive in what I do. They come to every game. They always when I get home they always ask me how'd it go, what did the coach say. They try to give me advice. But they throughout my whole life they've been really supportive of every decision I've made. In the sports I play.
So, what year are you in right now? Because it's been a while since we actually.
Um, where are your mind? Wait, 12.
So you're basically you're wrapping up your senior year.
Yeah,
Christopher Silva, shout out to you. He's one of my teammates, and he on behalf of my Special Olympic cohorts, we want to say thank you and continue to keep up the work that you're doing.
I appreciate it.
We're all standing on your shoulders. How did it feel for you when going back to football? How did it feel for you when you took off your jersey for the last time?
Um, that was heartbreaking, because you'll never get the chance to play with the same guys again, and you just football. The one thing I love is you just create a bond with everyone on the team, and everyone's your brother, and you do anything for them. So not being able to go out there one last time or another year with the same brothers that I play with, it's gonna be very difficult, and it was very emotional. So
Do you feel the same way when you play your final basketball game and your final track meet as opposed to
um, I feel like I would say yes, but not as much because football is dear to my heart and it will be my number one always.
Mhm.
So I feel like that football just hits me a little harder than the other sports. But I mean, I would say track more so than basketball.
That's very interesting how you said that it's when you, for football it was more emotional for you because it was your whole life as
Hmm.
compared to your other sports. And I thank you for being honest with me about that. So I would, if I can, I would like to give you some advice. Some
Go.
of it you've already touched on. And so I hope this helps you as you as you prepare for the next chapter in your life. So you have just said that it was emotional for you, taking off your uniform and the cleats for the last time.
Mhm.
But the one thing that you have is that brotherhood. That is going to last you a very long time. And the reason why I say it like that is because that is your second family. You spend a lot of time together during the school year, before the school year, and even during the practices and during the games and everything. And that bond is going to last forever. So I encourage you to make sure that you thank your teammates and your coaches every step of the way. Without them, you wouldn't be the legend and champion that you are today. And also, you just said your family has been very supportive, so thank them for everything as well, because they have sacrificed so much to make you the man that you are. Because a lot of athletes don't have family,
Yeah,
their fathers and mothers in their lives, but you do, and that is considered a blessing.
for
And
sure.
you have been blessed with many multiple gifts. And regardless of where your life takes you, just remember that you have something that no one else does. You have a Special Olympics New Jersey athlete rooting for you every single day. Because win or lose, you are a champion in my book,
I
always.
appreciate it.
And in that letter that I wrote you, that Special Olympics athlete's oath, let me win. But if I cannot win, let me be brave in the attempt. That oath is very true to this day. And I want that oath to apply to your life, not just on and off the field, but in life as well. Because life is your biggest classroom and you're learning something new every single day. You probably didn't realize that you motivated and inspired this Special Olympics athlete until I told you.
No, I didn't.
So if you had the chance to talk to your younger self to say that there is going to be someone that you don't even know that looks up to you, what would you say to your younger self in that
Um,
situation?
I would tell my younger self to lead by example, do everything right, work as hard as you can in practice, work as hard as you can on the game field, leave everything you have on the field. Um, I would also tell myself to um, kind of not like find new friends, but kind of like put myself out there more, so people have the chance to kind of see who I am and stuff like that. So
And you are truly one of my heroes
I appreciate it.
because I couldn't, even as a Special Olympics athlete, I would have to work 30 to 50 times harder to get where you are right now.
Yeah,
And when I first started, I was going to school to attend my classes because I was graduating. So I've been where you're at, where you're at. At first, I didn't want to leave my teammates behind. I practiced this, but at the same time, I knew that I had to be in class by a certain time in time. And it was difficult for me at first to adjust to prepping for one sport to the next. But I just had to grab it by the punches. And that's the biggest lesson I've actually learned from you was that you never give up. You just got to have that mentality to say, hey, you're going from one sport to the next. In the beginning, it's going to be a curveball, but how you take it and how you embrace it is all on you. And another lesson you have taught me too is that you are considered a student first, whether you're playing football, volleyball, soccer, bowling, track, basketball, you are an athlete first. And being a student athlete is considered the big P. And I think you know what the big P I'm referring to is.
Yes.
For those of you that don't, what I'm referring to is being a student athlete is considered a privilege because you've earned that privilege. Everybody is, don't think that nobody's watching you because everybody is. Everybody's watching you, everything that you do. And they're interested in what you bring to the field and what you bring to the table. They look at everything, your grades, your extracurricular activities, and what you do in the community. And that's the one thing I respect about this man that I'm interviewing. And that's the one thing I will always respect about him.
I appreciate it.
And this is a real conversation that we're having. And right now, we need to support each other more than we ever did before. We may never have the chance to talk again, but he knows that regardless of what happens, he knows that I'm always going to be there for him. And I know that Hanif will always be there for me. And that's the one thing I love about you.
For sure.
So, did you receive any college offers?
Yes, I have.
What's your what's your dream school that you want to attend?
My dream school would be LSU.
That's interesting. So you're thinking about continuing your football career at LSU?
Right now I'm looking something closer to home. The
Mm-hmm.
University of Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
So they're a really good team, really good school. So high on my
Have
list.
you decided on a major yet, or are you going undecided?
I'm gonna major in sports med.
Well, that's good because being an athlete, you know how to deal with all the pain and everything. But the biggest lesson I want to share with you is the lesson I've learned from Rutgers player Erica Grant is that, and one of them you already hit on the head. The biggest lesson what he taught me was that there are two things that could stop you from playing the sport that you love. One is your GPA, as you touched up on, because you cannot let football take over your life, student or athlete wise. Because if you don't have the grades, then you're going to be benched. And that's something a lot of people don't want. And the second thing is your health, because you could suffer a life ending concussion And that could end your career like that. And you would need something to fall back on. So that's the biggest lesson that he taught me. And I remember watching the footage because I was a fan of Rutgers, and I'm always going to be a fan of Rutgers because they support SONJ. But that's the biggest lesson I want to leave with you, Hannah, is that the only person who could stop you from doing the sport you love is you. I know that you won't let that happen. But you're doing the right thing by keeping your grades up and by saying that you have to keep that grades come first. We have to remember that education comes first. And I'm just lucky that you were in my life as my friend and my brother, and I love you for life. And I would love to do a follow up with you.
For
Let
sure.
me know how everything's going.
For sure. Just let me know when.
But before I end this interview, do you have any questions you would like to ask me?
Um, hmm. How difficult for you as a Special Olympics athlete is it playing the sport you love?
That's a very good question. When I first started 5 years ago, it was very difficult for me because I had to prepare from one sport to the next. But I'm gonna go back a little bit with you and then go forward. Is that all right? By
Yes,
giving you the history.
go for it.
So my program, the Bayonne Ability Day Camp, has been involved with SONJ since its inception back in 1968, 53 years ago. Eunice Kennedy Shriver, who was the sister of President Kennedy, created the Special Olympics because of her sister, who was quoted at the time as mentally retarded. And back in those days, families were shamed to have a child with a disability in those days. They couldn't get help or join support groups or look up what the disability was because there was no internet at the time and they had to rely on their own sources. So Eunice Kennedy Shriver met with Al Shalusky, who was the director of the program at that time. And she told him about what she was doing in Chicago. And he got a bunch of athletes together. Some of them are still on the Bayonne team today. And that is how we became a part of SONJ. My coach, the coaches for the program at the time, had asked me to join Special Olympics years before. But I've always said no because I didn't want to miss out on school. Because, as you just said, your grades come first. Even though they would have excused me for those events, I still would have felt like I missed out on learning.
Yeah.
And they respected my decision. So they reached out to me again in 2015, and I finally said yes. And ever since then, I've been doing Special Olympics ever since. I do the same sports that you. I do bowling, and I also do track and field. But you asked me how difficult is it for me being a Special Olympics athlete,
Yeah.
and my answer to that question is it's not difficult at all because it's all about the mentality and how you prepare for it. Special Olympics is my brotherhood and sisterhood. Just like the football players, our EMTs, the firemen, Doctors and nurses, our military, police officers. Special Olympics is my family because we are all united as one to celebrate one purpose. And we come together to celebrate each other. Yes, we all have limitations and we all have disabilities, but we turn our disability into ability. And I have done that ever since with my fellow cohorts, and I will continue to do it. Because believe it or not, the only competition that we all actually have is ourselves. And you know that better than anyone. Because we're competing against ourselves to make the top 3 or the top 5 or the top 10 in our division for the sport that we're in. But I love my Special Olympics family. I miss them terribly. And I look forward to the day when we can be all competing again. Do you have any more questions? I would glad to answer them.
I can't think of any.
Well, I hope that that question has really helped you. And I thank you for taking the time out of your day to do this with me, Hanif.
Yeah,
I
no
love
problem.
you. I love you, buddy. And just remember this oath and let it sink in. Let me win. But if I cannot win, let me be brave in the attempt. Thank you for everything. Well, Hanif, it was an honor and a privilege interviewing you. And I thank you all for watching this show. But to my Special Olympic cohorts, I love and miss all of you so much. And I look forward to the day when we can all be together. And to our first responders, our veterans, our doctors and nurses, and especially to Dr. Anthony Fauci. Thank you for all of the sacrifices that you have all made during this pandemic. You are all the true heroes that the world needs. And from the bottom of my heart, I will gladly wear my mask for 100 days. I hope all of you do too. That is the show for this evening. I'm Aldine Jr., aka Mr. Inspirer. I hope you all have a fabulous day and a fabulous night. Please remember to wear your mask and continue to social distance.